So my 5 essential items, particularly for winter fishing, so there's a slight slant on that. These items are a little bit more seasonal, but they're 5 items that I would not want to be without, no matter what. So in no particular order: Polaroids. Use these a lot less in the winter, but always have them with me, and they've caught me fish. I mean, probably in a calendar 12-month period, these are my #1 most essential thing. They, you know, it's an old adage really, the more you look, the more you see, the more you know, etc. So you see a lot more with Polaroids, unquestionable. I don't need to tell you the advantages of them. I get a lot of questions about mine. These are cocoons which fit over the top of my normal glasses. So they look like you're a blast welder or something like that, but I don't care what they look like. They give me great polarization and fit over my glasses, which is what I need. So absolutely essential. And I can think of, even though I use them less in the winter, I can think of a lot of times where they've caught me fish on those sunny days. I've been able to get up a tree and seen fish moving over shallower ground, or just perhaps where they're up higher in the layers and it's meant time for a zig or whatever. You know, the more you see, the more you'll catch. Sounder box. I just think that a sounder, but if I didn't have my sounder box, it would massively affect how I fish, I guess, or how I'm able to fish. So for example, I've just been stood in the swim next door. It's only the other side of these trees. There's no weed or snags here, but I can't see that area of water to my right at all from here. And I need to keep an eye on it. And it just gives me that freedom to go next door, look round trees. It means that I can have my heads on 0 volume, which is what I prefer. So it's of no intrusion to other anglers at all, because there's nothing worse than really loud alarms and people fiddling away with them. So it's respectful to other anglers. It protects your own fishing a little bit, you know, even if you're just getting liners, you know, it's only you that knows what's going on in your swim, which can be a considerable advantage on busy waters. Even in this session now, I've got the bivvy set up well back from the water. Again, wouldn't be able to do that without a sounder box, so I would not want to be without that. Simple one: needle and floss. Allows me to fish little combinations of maggots and foam, or maggots and a little bit of boilie, or whatever it might be. But fishing maggots without a needle and cotton, or needle and floss, is very, very difficult. And certainly from the months of December through to March, maggots very often, not always, but very often form a big part of my approach. Without that, I'll be screwed. Laser pen. Laser pens are, I've talked about these before on here. I mean, they have unquestionably helped me catch fish that I otherwise might not have caught. They play so many valuable roles. So just to give you a little bit of a couple of examples, and recent examples, you know, you're sat in the dark, it's 8, 9 o'clock in the evening, there's a lot of bird life around, and you hear that splosh, and you think, was it a bird though? Oh, I don't know, you know, we've all done that. Was that a bird or was that a fish? And you don't know. With a laser pen, you just sweep the area discreetly, just one sweep. If you hear any birds take off, you know it was probably a bird. If you don't hear any birds take off, you know it was definitely a carp. And that nugget of information can be absolute gold dust. There's been various occasions where I've been faced with a lot of birds on the surface of the lake at dawn or at dusk, and when you've got 70 or 80 tufties and whatever else in front of you, then it makes spotting tiny movements or tips of carp's heads and so on and so forth much, much more problematic. So a sweep with a laser, the birds move, and you're left with a clean slate, if you like. And if anything shows, it's a lot easier to see. So there's just a couple of examples. Of course, the more obvious ones are just keeping diving birds away from your baited areas, which is for their well-being as well as for your sanity, and just keeping them off this, particularly in the winter when you're not using much bait. You know, in the summer, if you've got a bucket of bait down there, you can kind of let them have a bit without worrying too much. But in the winter, if you're just fishing a bag or baiting more sparingly, you do not want a bird going down on a bag of crumb and maggots and you're just kicking it all up everywhere, and you know, it's not going to help matters at all. So I'm very vigilant with bird life. They tell you an awful lot, but there are times when you don't want them around, and that's essential to that process. Just lastly, with laser pens, I get a lot of questions, where do you get them? Mine isn't branded or anything, it's nothing special, it's just from China, off the interweb. So go on there, shop around. Things to remember, get green. Green seems to be the brightest beam that you can get, much brighter than red, and simply buy the most powerful you can afford. This pouch contains everything I need for hook sharpening. It's a bit of a mess. I don't know what I'm going to be faced with inside. What you will see is straight away my hook files are all in their sleeves. They're dry, moisture free, and they're not rusty. I see so many people with hook files and they're just left out and they're rusty and won't do the job properly. You know, it's part of a precision kit which you use to hone arguably the most important part of your technical armoury to perfection. And I'm very, very fastidiously anal about how sharp my hook points are, and without my jag kit, I feel I'd be behind the 8 ball a bit. You know, I really do consider this a massive, massive advantage. There's a few other things in here, you know, this pouch of goodness. You know, I've got a Leatherman, which is essential for all sorts of things you find yourself using that for, cutting swivels off of leads and so on. But this is really about the hook kit, hook sharpening kit, and there's no doubt in my mind that's another essential area of my approach that I would not want to be without.